Hey guys, this is an emergency report. Information that just came in. A little while I talked about the Catholic guy that was speaking about Laudato Si, and now it appears that the Pope has just set forth a 7-year plan for Laudato Si. And this was brought to my attention by Nicole Coolin 2 hours ago. She said, Kimberly, check Laudato Si. Vatican signing 7-year plan with UN sustainability, 4th of October. Season of creation, Mother Earth worship. So thank you, Nicole, for drawing my attention to something else that was developing with that. This was from the CatholicNewsAgency.com. Pope Francis launches 7-year Laudato Si action plan. And this is by Courtney Maris. Vatican City, and this was written May 25th, 2021 at 8 a.m. Pope Francis launched Tuesday the Vatican's 7-year Laudato Si action plan to implement environmental sustainability in different sectors of the Church, from religious orders to Catholic schools and hospitals. We need a new ecological approach that can transform our way of dwelling in the world, our styles of life, our relationship with the resources of the earth, and, in general, our way of looking at humanity and of living life, Pope Francis said in a video message on May 24th. The Pope marked the end of the year celebrating the 5th anniversary of his environmental encyclical Laudato Si with the message announcing the initiative. He said that the year would be followed immediately by a 7-year plan known as Laudato Si Action Platform. The Laudato Si Action Platform will focus on 7 sectors: families, parishes, schools, hospitals, businesses, organizations, and religious orders. The Pope explained that the action plan also has 7 goals: the response to the cry of the earth, the response to the cry of the poor, the ecological economics, adoption of simple lifestyles, ecological education, ecological spirituality, and community involvement. Our selfishness, our indifference, and our irresponsible ways are threatening the future of our children, Pope Francis said. I therefore renew my appeal. Let us overcome the temptation of selfishness that makes us predators of resources. Let us cultivate respect for the gifts of the earth and creation. Let us inaugurate a lifestyle and a society that is finally eco-sustainable. It says that they worship the creation instead of the creator. Well, that's exactly what God was talking about. We have the opportunity to prepare a better tomorrow for all. From God's hands, we have received a garden. We cannot leave a desert to our children, he added. Cardinal Peter Turskin, the prefect for the Dicastery for Integral Human Development, said at a press conference on May 24th that the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted many of the Vatican's planned events, conferences, and celebrations for the Laudato Si year, but expressed gratitude to the parishes and associations that organize local events. In particular, the Cardinal commended Catholics in Bangladesh for planting 70,000 trees over the course of the past year. Jostrom Isaac Kurithodam, who leads the Ecology and Creation section of the Vatican Dicastery, stressed that Laudato Si action platform can only be accomplished in partnership with the synodal path that Pope Francis is proposing to the entire Church. Integral ecology demands that we journey together on this mission, he said. Kurithodam explained that the first year of the initiative will be dedicated to drawing up concrete action plans, following by 5 years of concrete action, with the final year dedicated to praise and thank God. In addition to the Vatican Dicastery, Eco-Jesuit, the Pan-Amazonian Church Network, REPAM, the Global Catholic Climate Movement, the Union of Religious Superiors in Rome, and other Catholic groups are involved with the organization of the 7 years of programming. On a journey that will last for 7 years, we will let ourselves be guided by the 7 aims of Laudato Si, which will show us the direction while we pursue the vision of integral ecology, Pope Francis said. There is hope. We can all collaborate, each one with his own culture and experience, each one with her own initiatives and capacities, so that our Mother Earth may be restored to her original beauty and creation may once again shine according to God's plan. Well, that is from the CatholicNewsAgency.com. And might I say here that they're trying to be God. The only person that's going to restore the earth back to an Eden-like state is the Lord God of Israel himself. Now, I went back in my videos to see where this was. I believe that it was when I did this video, Urgent, Antichrist, Roman Church, Dr. Taylor Marshall, Vigano, and Sheen, Pope's Image of God at the conference. And that was posted by me on May 7th, 2021. And I'll put the link to my video down there, but I'm pretty sure that Dr. Taylor Marshall already mentioned Laudato Si, and I believe that I talked about that somewhat, although it wasn't set out as a 7-year plan at that time, but apparently it is now. This is just a screenshot of my video, and I posted this May 7th. And Dr. Taylor Marshall, I'm pretty sure he was talking about this Laudato Si back then. And I posted this May 7th of 2021. That time, I don't think it was a 7-year plan, but it is now. And why would he set a 7-year plan right now? Because he has to know that to the Jews, this is the start of the 7-year cycle of the Shemitah cycle. We just ended a 7-year Shemitah cycle, and now another one begins right at the High Holy Days. And Pastor Mark Biltz said that the tribulation would likely start at the very beginning of the 7-year Shemitah cycle. And why is it that the Jews went to Babylon for 70 years? Because they were not keeping the Shemitah cycle, and God wanted the land to rest. So now they have one 7-year span of time left. And isn't it ironic that they are starting a 7-year cycle now, and God is allowing the time of Jacob's trouble to fulfill Daniel's 70th week prophecy? It's not a coincidence that he is setting up this 7-year plan dealing with climate change and making us change our lives. You notice all the subtle words in that article of having to live in simplicity. So this group has a diabolical plan, believe you me. They plan for it to affect everyone's life. What are they concerned about? They're concerned about all the carbons in the air. They're concerned about the carbons that the cows let out in the form of gas fumes. A little while ago, we had remember that it was the Democratic singer, I know she drives on Santa Monica Boulevard. I have to say it that way because that's how the song goes. But do you remember that? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? It's 1 square of toilet paper. Do you remember? The singer wanted everybody to start using 1 square of toilet paper because of climate change. And there was an outcry, and people didn't get it. They didn't understand what was going on. But what do you think happened at the beginning of the pandemic? But, oh, suddenly people had no toilet paper? You can't tell me that they didn't take away the toilet paper on purpose. So what's the other secret? Here's another secret. You know what this is? You know what that is? That's keeping carbons to go back into your lungs instead of breathing them out in the atmosphere. That's what that's for. It all comes together, and this is a tyrannical plan from the gates of hell. There was an article about how children should not wear those because they're breathing so much of their carbons back into their lungs. It's bad for them. There was an article written about it. Now, if it's bad for the children, it's bad for anybody who's doing it and wearing it for, all day long experiences. They don't want you breathing out the carbons into the atmosphere. They don't want you to have this because it's bad for the carbon situation. Petrol was reduced 57% in Europe overnight. That was just reported. Why? Because they don't want you to have operating vehicles. They don't want you putting emissions into the air. They don't want your carbons going into the air. Part of what the Pope said was that in this 7-year plan, they want the adoption of simple lifestyles. Now, what does Romans 1:25 tell us? They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator who is forever praised. That's the New International Version. And don't get me wrong, I don't think we should pollute or throw trash in the streets or be careless with the environmental things that God has given us to take care of. But I think there's an overreach in a paranoia that is just going into worshiping the creature and the creation instead of the Creator himself, who is in control of it all. Here's one of their logos. Take action for creation. Season of creation. It says, sign the Healthy Planet Health People Petition. COP26 and COP15. And you can look at LaudatoSi.org, multi-year Laudato Si rollout plan to make communities around the world totally sustainable in the spirit of integral ecology of Laudato Si. During the Laudato Si special anniversary year, the Dicastery for Promotion of Integral Human Development launched a new program and a public commitment for various institutions to begin a 7-year journey to total sustainability in the spirit of Laudato Si. And their 7 points are this. 1, Laudato Si families. Families embarking a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. Number 2, Laudato Si diocese. Diocese parishes embark on a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. 3, Laudato Si schools. Schools embarking on a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. 4, Laudato Si universities. Universities and colleges embarking on a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. 5, Laudato Si hospitals, healthcare centers, embarking on a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. 6, Laudato Si businesses, agriculture, farms, etc., embarking on a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. 7, Laudato Si religious orders, provinces embarking on a 7-year journey towards integral ecology. The Laudato Si project of the Francis of Assisi Academy will support this platform. This is their logo for the 7-year plan. And here he is, the man himself, Pope Francis with the Laudato Si, which says, bring the whole human family together, for we know that things can change, Laudato Si 13. Laudato Si calls us toward sustainability in the spirit of integral ecology, with profound care for each other, our Creator, and all creation. We are building a better future together. About the Laudato Si Action Platform. Caring for our brothers and sisters means caring for the home we share. This responsibility is essential to a life of virtue. The Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development's Laudato Si Action Platform is a space for institutions, communities, and families to learn and grow together as we journey towards full sustainability in the holistic spirit of integral ecology. Laudato Si, page 92. We human beings are united as brothers and sisters on a wonderful pilgrimage. Discerning a response to the ecological crisis is a profound act of care. At this Kairos moment, action is needed. The Laudato Si goals guide our actions. Their holistic approach supports a spiritual and cultural revolution as we strive for total sustainability in the spirit of integral ecology. Response to the cry of the earth. Response to the cry of the poor. Ecological economics, adoption of sustainable lifestyles, ecological education, ecological spirituality, community engagement, and participatory action. Begin the journey on October 4th, the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. The Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development will begin offering Laudato Si plans. So it's going to begin, as my commenter told me, on October 4th. Laudato Si plans help you discern and implement your response to Laudato Si. Your institution, community, or family is invited to make an early commitment to the planning process. By completing the registration form, you pledge to pursue your Laudato Si plan when the plans are formally launched. You are warmly invited to use the resources below as you discern the next steps in the journey ahead. So, they have PDFs that you can download here. One of the things, let me just read that it says in this action plan. Laudato Si planning begins with discernment and reflection. Laudato Si calls us to undergo an ecological conversion, one that develops our awareness of the relationships between creator, creation, and all our brothers and sisters. This ecological conversion is not something we experience once, but rather a continued enrichment of our spirits and a deepening of our understanding. Our conversion naturally becomes action. Now, the repeated words that he kept saying with each and every one of those 7 goals of the Laudato Si were the words integral ecology, which refers to a concept recently popularized by the Catholic Church that advocates for a holistic approach to some of the political, social, economic, and environmental problems that plague our world today. Integral ecology includes multiple ecologies: environmental, economic, social, cultural, and daily life. You know, it's been said that somebody is controlling the resident-in-chief, considering that he is of that religious persuasion. Could it be that he's under the direction of this Pope? I find it really interesting that my book about Jesus for the last days and revealing so many incredible things never known before from the scriptures about him was published May 5th, 5/5/15, and this Laudato Si came out just the following month, almost exactly a month later, but June 18th of 2015. So God put forth, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. My book is that standard. My book is Jesus Christ and his testimony. Isn't it interesting that he makes it a 7-year plan right now when the Jews are just starting a new Shemitah 7-year cycle, and the last 7-year cycle just ended? And he must know that this 7-year cycle has something to do with him. And Pastor Mark Bilt said that the tribulation would probably have to start at the beginning of the Shemitah cycle, the beginning of a 7-year cycle. And if it didn't start this particular 7-year cycle, he believed it would start at the beginning of the next one. So are we there? Are we at the beginning of the tribulation with the 7-year cycle all being set up by the Pope for this plan of sustainability with climate change? That's what they're not telling you it's involving. And everybody's supposed to have these carbon credits and keep track of how many carbons you breathe in and out. And this is really kind of like a precursor to, breathing in and out your carbons. Now let me just read this to you. Rome, and this is from cruxnow.com. Rome, as the Vatican's special year dedicated to papal encyclical Laudato Si comes to a close, they have launched a 7-year action plan or platform designed to encourage strategic actors to commit to achieving total sustainability with Pope Francis's environmental advocacy as a guide. In a May 25th video message, Pope Francis called the action plan, called the Laudato Si Action Platform, a journey that will see our communities committed in different ways to becoming totally sustainable in the spirit of integral ecology. For a long time now, this house that hosts us suffers as a result of wounds that we cause by our predatory attitude, which makes us feel that we are masters of the planet and its resources and authorizes us to make irresponsible use of the goods God has given us, the Pope said, arguing that this attitude has caused an ecological crisis without precedent. The coronavirus pandemic, he said, has not only highlighted the damage done to the planet, but it has also disproportionately impacted the poor, illustrating that everything is interconnected and interdependent, and that our health is not separated from the health of the environment in which we live. We need a new ecological approach, he said, and called for an integral human ecology that involves not only environmental questions, but also mankind in his entirety, and which is capable of listening to the cry of the poor and of being leaven for the new society. Pope Francis said humanity has a duty to future generations to overcome selfishness, indifference, and irresponsible habits, asking faithful to respect creation and inaugurate a lifestyle in a society that's financially eco-sustainable. The most overused word in our century is that word. We have the opportunity to prepare a better tomorrow for all, he said, and asked that the Catholics around the world get involved in the action plan at 7 different levels: the family, parishes, dioceses, schools and universities, hospitals, businesses and farms, organizations, groups and movements and religious institutions. Well, they're talking about farms, and you know what they want to do with the farmers and control the farms and everything that the farmers do with their crops and their cows and all of that. That's just one portion of it. We've seen what they've been doing to the businesses. And now JB, the resident-in-chief, is calling to punish businesses if they don't implement the plans of his by fining them $70,000 up to $700,000, which will put all the businesses out of business if they don't cooperate with the It's not funny, believe me. At the moment, the plan is to synchronize the dates and be there together with Bartholomew, Turkson said, but cautioned that nothing is set in stone and plans could still change. I'm wondering, could this include in the 7-year plan the building of the third temple in Jerusalem for the Jews? They are putting that abomination of the Chrislam in Abu Dhabi, and he is in charge of that whole abomination. Now, the Pope recorded a video where he showed all kinds of landfills and trash in the communities and poverty situations, disastrous situations all over, and this is what he thinks that he's going to fix. But I'm telling you one thing, this earth is under a curse until the Messiah comes and restores the earth to its Eden-like state. He's not the one responsible for doing that. He is not the Messiah. He is not the one that has the power to do this. It's God. It's Jesus Christ who's coming, and he's going to restore the earth from the curse of Adam and Eve, from Satan's curse of death, actually. Tell me something. Why would this be only a 7-year plan? Think about that. Doesn't it continue after that you have to take care of the earth? But it lasts for 7 years. Why 7 years? On a journey that will last for 7 years, we will let ourselves be guided by the 7 aims of Laudato Si, which will show us the direction while we pursue the vision of integral ecology. There it is again. The response to the cry of the earth, the response to the cry of the poor, the ecological economy, the adoption of a simple way of life, ecological education, ecological spirituality, and community engagement. There is hope. We can all collaborate, each one with his own culture and experience, each one with her own initiatives and capacities, so that our Mother Earth may be restored to her original beauty and creation may once again shine according to God's plan. God bless each one of you and bless our mission to rebuild our common home. It's not going to happen by the hands of a human man, the Pope. It's not going to happen. This is God's job. Tell me, why does the journey just last for 7 years? Why would it not continue after 7 years is up? Think about that. Could it be that he knows that Jesus is coming in the second coming at the end of the 7 years? And he's hoping to do all the polishing and buffing before Jesus gets here to make the earth shiny like it was at first? That's not his job. That's Jesus' job. Still believe that there is going to be a 7-year lease signed with Israel to allow them to build the third temple and start their sacrifices. And then I believe the lease is going to be broken in the middle, which will stop the sacrificing and the oblation. And I came to that conclusion when the Lord revealed to me about the words letteth and let. He who now letteth will let until he's taken out of the way. It's a 7-year lease. That's what letteth means. This is not set in stone, he said, but it could have changes to it. Will it include the 7-year lease for the Jews? For being able to build the temple on Holy Mount Moriah. And will it happen sometime by October 4th? Now, I'm not saying it will happen on October 4th, but I do believe it's a lease. And I do believe that it's coming. And it may be part of this particular thing, since it is going to be incorporated in all the world with this 7-year action platform. So nobody's saying, so what happens if you don't measure up and you don't fulfill all of what the Pope's commanding? Anybody know? Now, on the laudatosi.org website, there's something that's a petition, and it's titled Healthy Planet, Healthy People Petition. And what it says when you click on it is, our common home and common family are suffering. The climate emergency is causing rising seas, a warmer planet, and more extreme weather. It's devastating the lives of our poorest sisters and brothers. At the same time, biologists estimate that we're driving species to extinction at the rate of 100 to 1,000 times their usual rate. We have no such right. 2 UN conferences, one opportunity for Catholics worldwide to listen to Pope Francis and act out our faith. 2 UN conferences. Sign the petition. The year 2021. We have an opportunity like no other. At the UN Biodiversity Conference, known as the COP15, in October, world leaders can set meaningful targets to protect creation. In November, in the 28th UN Climate Change Conference, known as the COP26, countries will announce their plans to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. Ahead of those meetings, it is our responsibility as Catholics, I'm not Catholic and never will be, to lift up the voices of the most vulnerable and advocate on their behalf. We must act now. Tackle the climate emergency and biodiversity crisis together. And kind of interesting, it shows a bear. Looks like he's standing on a polar ice cap here. Let me see if I can show you. See that little bear over here? Where is he? Right here. He's sitting on a little piece of ice. We don't want his ice cap to melt underneath him. Then it says, limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius and promise no more biodiversity loss. Ensure equitable global action, including support for those most affected. Protect and respect human rights, including the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities in climate and biodiversity action. Why? When Catholics come together and live out our faith, amazing things happen. Just look at how Pope Francis's Laudato Si has enlivened Catholics everywhere to care for creation. Ahead of the Paris Agreement in 2015, Catholics were leading the way, advocating for an agreement that limited warming to 1.5 degrees. Are they in control of the warming? Are they telling us that they're manipulating it? Some said it couldn't be done, but with the Holy Spirit leading the way, we did it. So you're telling me that the Holy Spirit was behind the affirmation of the Paris Agreement to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius? The Holy Spirit was behind that? I don't think so. And I don't think you should be telling people what the Holy Spirit did when you are completely lying about him. So he says here, biologists estimate that we are driving species to extinction at a rate of up to 1,000 times faster than without human influence. And interesting, the news today said something about, I think it was between 25 and 29 species that are now suddenly extinct. In parallel, the worsening climate crisis is causing rising sea levels and more extreme weather, devastating lives and livelihoods. This interconnected crisis is impacting most adversely on our poorest sisters and brothers across the planet who have done least to cause it. But none of us, rich or poor, are immune. The climate crisis and biodiversity collapse are twin crises. A warming world is exacerbating the spiraling loss of blameless species, and further loss of nature will jeopardize our capacity to deliver on the 1.5 degree limit to global warming. So how are you going to do that? Because you're going to manipulate everything until it only is limited to that? You're going to control things? We are hurtling towards a global catastrophe, one that looks to be irreversible for our common home. Oh boy, with tragic loss of life across all creation, unless we act now with great urgency, acting in line with the best available science on both the climate and biodiversity crisis is fundamental for human and planetary health and survival. We must also open our hearts, believers and non-believers alike, to the right of all species to exist. All life, human and other than human, hold intrinsic value. Their right to thrive is not dependent on serving humanity, but is a way to give glory to the Creator. Despite the overwhelming scientific evidence and numerous national declarations of climate and ecological emergencies, world leaders have yet to act commensurate with the scientific and moral urgency. We must grieve for lives and life lost, and we must do better. As a faith community, we know that there is always a way out, that we can always redirect our steps. So I'm going to stop reading there because I'm running out of breath. But so far, the petition has gained 16,961 signatures, and they have no idea what they've signed up for. Oh boy. And if there wasn't weather manipulation going on for so long now, would we be in this situation in the first place? I don't think so. Now, this was written in May 17th, 2021 by Inez San Martin. Then it says Rome. Pope Francis kicked off his own Laudato Si week Sunday, which wraps up an entire year dedicated to 2015's encyclical letter on the environment, the first ever dedicated entirely to that topic, and its dramatic call to, quote, hear the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. Though people all over the world were energized by the document, it's unlikely anybody's more excited about the prospects for this week than the pontiff's fellow Argentine father, Augusto Zampini. The most important part of Laudato Si week is that it closes the year of the 5th anniversary with events that we could not do because of the pandemic, he said. We came up with the idea of the Laudato Si year with the help of the Pope. He told us, take advantage of it and do the whole year of Laudato Si, which ends with this week that I think we are going to do every year. Now, that was May 17th that this was written. So Zampini is an adjunct secretary in the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development and the official responsible for the week-long observance. It ran May 16th through 25th and closed with what Zampini defined as the most important thing, the announcement of a 7-year action plan inspired by the encyclical that has even the President of the United Nations COP21 Summit on Climate to be held later this year in Glasgow. So he's involving the United Nations in this. We will launch the Laudato Si action platform or plan, which are 7 Jubilee years of concrete action, Zampini said. The hope, he said, is that it will create a massive movement of families, parishes, schools, universities, health centers, hospitals, business, and governments, as though they don't have anything else to do. The idea is that everyone commits to the 7 Laudato Si resolutions, which are easy, and with each step you get a credit, a Laudato Si award. Is that a carbon credit, perhaps? The action plan is projected to run in parallel to the last 7 years of the decade of action of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which among other things aim to end global hunger by the time 2030 rolls around. However, the 7 goals are based on 3 things, and simpler than the one the United Nations 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future. Without revealing the 7 goals in full, the formal rollout will take place May 25th. Zampini said they are based on 3 things: energy use, waste, and water. The idea is that the plan should be carried out in community. You take steps, but you take them with your family, in your school, in your parish. So you foster change among those who surround you, even by modifying the way you vacation. Remember what I told you the Bible says? Do not follow men who are given to change. It's a little bit of a warning here. The idea is to make it something massive. And our plan is to present it to the COP21 in Glasgow, before the United Nations, in other words, the priest said. And we have millions of people around the world who have already committed to change their life, to change their business, their university, the way we see it, even before fully announcing the action plan. We know that there is no turning back. The Great Reset. Zampini, who's used to speaking both with global leaders at the Davos World Economic Forum, the WEF, the ones that put forth all these evils and dangerous platforms and situations, and to grassroots movements as leadership member of the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development, acknowledged that the plan being unveiled by the Catholic Church is extremely ambitious, while highlighting that the project already has over 100 partners, each of which brings their own global network, who are committed to make small changes in the way they behave and do business, which will in time reshape the world. Zampini, who before heading to the Vatican obtained a master's degree in international development from the University of Bath, a PhD in theology from London's Roehampton University, and a postdoctorate in Cambridge, has been a member of Pope Francis's COVID-19 Commission since it was instituted back in 2020. We thought that it'd be a year-long project because back then we assumed the virus would not last more than a year, he said over the phone. From the beginning, our idea was to close the Laudato Si Commission year with the launching of the action plan. Evidently, the virus is still going on, but we're launching the plan anyway with the hopes that we can also implement the many things we've learned from the pandemic. The commission has already been presented to Alok Sharma, who will head the November 1st through the 12th Glasgow United Nations Climate Change Conference, known as COP21. According to Zampini, he was very interested in the project and asked to have a copy of the material that will be released by the Vatican when introducing it. It is very important to be able to tell the world that we are launching ambitious actions that respond to the Pope Francis request to dream big, he said. He told us that our role was to change the current economy and change structures. He didn't want little things, so we went with spectacular. As part of the action plan, the dicastery will unveil the Laudato Si action platform May 24th, which they did, ahead of its full launch October 4th. The platform is meant to help those who want to increase their commitment to bringing Laudato Si to life by promising a set of actions over a period of 7 years. 7. Are y'all looking up? Are you waiting for the Lord? Is Jesus going to appear? We're watching, we're waiting. Is the real Feast of Trumpets beginning? October 7th? Right after they present this diabolical plan for the world? Let's get the gospel of Jesus Christ out there. Let's read the Almond Tree, Aaron's Rod, the Messiah, King of Israel, revealing the Messiah for the last days. Let's support all the Christian YouTube channels that tell the truth, that fight against the enemy, that are lifting up the standard of God. And let us go forth to meet our King and to look for the glory cloud and to listen for the trumpet blast, because our King is coming. This 7-year plan will be presented October 4th before the United Nations Climate Change Summit. My battery is now out, so I have to end this video. But if you don't have the chills, combining all of this with everything else that's going on, people, we have to be right there. So you better give your life to the Messiah, the only one who can give you salvation through his death, burial, and resurrection, which is Jesus Christ, the Messiah of Israel, the second perfect Adam, who reverses the curse of death from the Garden of Eden and takes us back through the cherubim to the eternal garden of God to dwell in the presence of the Lord forever. The King is coming. And this is just one huge sign that's just been completely unveiled, that they've turned this into a 7-year action plan.